Hey, what's up guys? It's Marv and welcome back to another Asphalt Legends Unite video. And yesterday we got probably the biggest news drop in Asphalt history. We got the roadmap for the entire rest of the year for 2025 for Alu. So today I'm going to go over all of the information from that video and give you my thoughts about it as well, so you guys know all of the details. Before we get into it though, just a couple of things I want to mention. Firstly, Gameloft stressed this a ton of times throughout the video, so I want to just make sure you guys are aware. None of this is concrete information. This isn't a patch notes video. This is a roadmap video. So this is just what sort of to expect in general for the rest of the year, but none of the dates or features mentioned are concrete plans. They are just ideas or what the team is planning for. And I also want to ask, if you guys are enjoying the Asphalt content, to be sure to click that like button and click the subscribe button. I try not to yell it into people's faces, but it is nice for the YouTube algorithm to make sure that I still exist. Alright, so without further ado, let's start with the updates coming in March, then we'll go all the way back to the rest of the year ending in December. So firstly, with March, the biggest update and change will be the addition of the gauntlet mode. So this is going to be a returning game mode from Asphalt 8. And it will appear in the special event tab, as you can see on screen now, and it will be a recurring event. So it won't just happen once or twice, it will be ongoing, or at least something like the Club Clash, where it will make a return every once in a while. So either way, like I said, it's set up just like Asphalt 8, so you choose your best cars and you set the best times for your defense on 5 different tracks. Now in Asphalt 8, if I remember correctly, it was one track with different cars because they had the tag mode where the car would actually change in the middle of the race. Obviously, that's not a thing in Asphalt Legends Unite, so instead of it being a bunch of cars on one track, it is 5 cars on 5 tracks. So here you can see a picture of the car selection screen, and what is nice is there is an auto select button to make it a little bit easier so the game can choose the cars that will best be suited for the gauntlet mode. So once you've set your time on defense on the 5 different tracks, you can choose between 3 different opponents to beat their ghosts on those different tracks. So for each ghost you beat, you will gain rating points, and this will be tracked on a leaderboard. Now, they didn't mention it specifically, but if you look in the top menu bar, you can see a new currency, which does suggest that the leaderboard position and your progression in the gauntlet mode will correspond to a new currency as well. And with the addition of a new currency, I assume there could be a separate section in the shop for the gauntlet mode, kind of like the separate currency for the Clash game mode. Alright, so next up we have something called Spotlights, and this isn't necessarily a new type of event, it's just a new tab in the special events menu that will feature different information about the ongoing events and the rewards that you can get. But this will also correspond with a shop hub which will introduce collectibles that are placed in races during the events. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of information about what these are, but I can imagine it will be similar to the holiday collectible that you get once per day on the daily events during the month of December for the holidays. So you actually get to see a green box on the track, and if you collect that, that will give you a special reward. So it seems like they will actually be able to track how many collectibles you get in these special events, and you can then exchange them for something in a shop. So this is just a nice way to encourage people to play the events, and it doesn't seem like there's any downside to this because it also tells you as a player what's currently going on in the game. Now lastly, this is actually the most exciting thing for me from this March update. We will get a new multiplayer exclusive car, the Ford GT Mark IV. Now, this might be a little confusing because it looks like the Ford GT that we already have in the game, but don't worry, Ford did make a whole new version of the Ford GT. It just looks very similar. You can see the headlights are a little bit different, but either way, I'm really excited about this, not because of the car, but because this will be unlocked solely through playing multiplayer. So this won't be, at least initially, tied to a currency or a payment. This will be unlocked by playing multiplayer. We don't have the exact details quite yet, but I can imagine that it could be tied through the milestone rewards, and I will assume that there will also be ways to unlock maybe epic import parts or more blueprints through the leaderboard. So this has been something I've wanted ever since we got that update that removed guaranteed blueprints from multiplayer rewards. So if you want to work specifically towards gaining this car, you can do so by playing multiplayer. So I'm excited to try it out once I get my hands on it. All right, moving down a couple of months to May. This isn't a huge update, but we do have plans for a new daily quest system, which honestly I was kind of excited about because it's been a while since we've seen any updates to it. So there will be new rewards for the daily quests, the ones that give you 5 tokens, and there will also be new challenges. So for new players, it's like that thing that tracks how many shockwaves you do, how many knockdowns you do, and every time you complete a milestone or a certain amount of them, you get a token reward. It seems like Gameloft is trying to update this system, hopefully for older players such as myself who, well, we've just completed everything. So I'm honestly quite excited to see what new challenges they introduce. But alongside the new quests, there will also be a Unite Pass revamp. So they made sure to make it so there isn't any details concretely that we know about it, but the goal is to just add more value. So whether or not your opinion is positive or negative on the Unite Pass, it is nice to see that they are trying to add more value. Alright, skipping ahead to the summer months, we have the big July update. We always get a big summer update and a big winter update, so this seems like it will be the big summer update, and what they are planning is something special for the 20th anniversary. So in the video, they specifically say the tagline, "Teleport through the history of Asphalt." So I assume this means that we are going to get the return of some old track. It might be even older than the Nevada track we have in Asphalt 8. So I'm really excited to see what they choose. Hopefully it will be from something like Asphalt 6. I think that holds a lot of nostalgia in the player base. So I can imagine that you can look through Asphalt 6 and see what we have in that game that we don't currently have in Asphalt Legends Unite. So maybe something like Monaco would be really cool to see, maybe the Alps. I'm not too sure, but either way, I'm really excited because of course, that's sort of the era of Asphalt that I grew up on. However, besides just the teaser of a new track from previous Asphalt games, we have definite confirmation that we are getting the Citroen/DS Servolt. So this was a personal favorite of mine back in Asphalt 6. It did make a return in Asphalt 8, and it looks like it is continuing the Asphalt legacy in Asphalt Legends Unite. I'm actually really excited because I love the design of this car. You can see the proportions are kind of similar to my fan favorite Audi TT, but I do love this car in general. It was one of the first electric cars that actually got me excited about the electrification of cars, and of course it just brings back waves of nostalgia, so I'm excited to see how it performs in Asphalt Legends Unite. Alongside the big content drop in the 20th anniversary update, there will be some revamps to the event and main menu system. So what they're trying to do is just streamline the console and mobile experience, so it doesn't really matter what platform you're on, the menu experience will feel fluid. So specifically for this update, they're going to focus on the special and daily event tab, which I can agree does need a little bit of work since it feels still a little similar to what we had in Asphalt 9, so definitely more focused on the mobile user experience. But yeah, they're trying to go for more of an update for both look and navigation usability. Alright, so we're going to skip ahead a couple of months yet again to October. Now this is where things start to go from more concrete details to more abstract details where we don't have a lot of exact information, but I just want to give my thoughts on what their plans are. So the big thing for October, which I was not expecting to see in this video, was they're thinking about adding a roguelike game mode to Asphalt. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a roguelike or roguelite game is, there are a ton of variations on it, but it's a huge concept in the game design industry where the concept is that each time your character progresses and each time you either die or get reset, you get to change the game for the next time you go out onto the gameplay loop. So the biggest example I have recently, or at least the most successful one that I can think of, is a game called Hades. Now I've actually played through this game, I really enjoy it. It's not my cup of tea, but it definitely opened my eyes to what the possibility of a roguelike is. And something I really liked about that game is each time you die, you progress in the story, because each time you venture out into the game, you get different taglines from the NPCs, or you get different encounters in the open world. But there is a couple of issues. Now, usually roguelikes are taking advantage of procedurally generated worlds so that each time you play, you get a different experience. Now, obviously with Asphalt, they use a fixed track design. It allows the tracks to be designed with perfection and precision so that the gameplay experience is tailored to the handling and the car stats and all of that stuff. But we don't even have a big open world or a procedurally generated system. So I'm not exactly sure how they can tie in a roguelike experience. What I do imagine though is a system where each race gives you a perk or a boost so that you can get a faster time or a better experience for the next race. So maybe you go up against a boss and then you lose, but you get a perk or something you can use for the next race. Again, there is so much potential with the at least idea of a roguelike for a racing game. Honestly, I can't think of a current game that uses roguelike systems but is also a racing game. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments about this, because I know there are a lot of opinions on what a roguelike is. I mean, there are two definitions. There's the roguelite and roguelike. So anyway, I could go on and on. I did study a little bit of game design, so I'm actually really curious to see how Gameloft implements a roguelike experience into Asphalt Legends Unite. But all in all of this was my thoughts and my ideas. They didn't really confirm anything except for their thinking about it. All right, so next up, a lot of you Asphalt 8 veterans will love this. They are adding mastery. Now, I want to hold your horses a little bit because this is a little bit different. So the way they describe it is you will unlock permanent bonuses and rewards by completing collections. So even though the name is the same as Mastery, it seems like it might not be the same system from Asphalt 8. However, it will be similar, at least in concept, to the collections we had in the early days of Asphalt 8. So essentially, if you collected all of the cars from, let's say, Ford, you had a collection of Ford cars and you unlocked a boost in currency, or you unlocked some little special gift. So it seems like they are using the collection system but calling it Mastery. Now again, this is so far out, anything could change, but either way, I'm really excited for this. We are not done with October. We will have some club changes as well. They are trying to introduce something called club events. So these will be just activities or challenges that the clubs can collectively participate in to complete rewards. So instead of just grinding out for reputation points and getting the current reward system that we have, it seems like there will be specific objectives that you can complete as a club to get even more rewards. Finally, for October, there will be a revamp to the car gallery, which is really exciting because the current system doesn't really display too many cars on your screen at once. So it does seem like firstly, they're going to target the car filters and the overall navigation, which I'm really excited about. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the December update. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we usually get one huge update in the summertime and one huge update in the winter time. So they didn't give exact details about what is included in December, and that kind of makes sense because we are almost at the end of the year with this one, so it's very far out. What we do know, however, is there will be a new track, which again makes sense because we usually get 2 per year. Again, no details on it specifically, but they already have a location in mind. Now, what I'm really excited about is the addition of a tournament mode. Again, they didn't go into too many details about it, but they are stressing that it will be fairly competitive, which I'm really excited about. Maybe this could be a return of the 1v1 mode that we did actually have in Asphalt 9, but maybe some tweaks and balance updates as well. Something I do want to implement though, at least for my opinion, is we would desperately enjoy a spectator mode if we have the tournament mode. So even if 2 players are in their own tournament, I would love the ability to spectate it, and this is obviously for commentary and casting reasons. It would be so useful for hosting my own tournaments. That would be an awesome feature. All right, and lastly, in the December plans, they are planning to update the team pursuit mode. Again, just like with the other things added to December's timeline, there aren't exact details, but I can imagine that they have plans to overall just tweak the mode for different balance purposes or adding new features. Because it is a little lopsided of an experience, it is definitely tailored to just have more fun than it is to create a competitive environment, which I really enjoy just casually playing that game mode. I think it is one of the best features of Asphalt Legends Unite in recent memory, so I'm excited to see how they switch it up. Alright, so that is a lot of information to go over, and like I said, all of this is subject to change. but it is open to community feedback as well. This is something where there's no way they would just tell us all of this information if they didn't want feedback from the community. So I encourage you to not only leave your comments in this video, but also go to the Asphalt Discord and their YouTube channel and share your ideas as well. But there is so much information in this video. Specifically though, I am excited for that 20th anniversary. We did have the 15th anniversary back in Asphalt 9, and they added some really cool stuff with that. So I'm really excited to see what they do for the 20th anniversary, and of course, I am definitely going for that DS Serval. That is one of my favorite nostalgic cars from the early Asphalt days, so yeah, I want to get my hands on that one. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I know there's a lot to digest, so yeah, like I said a million times, I'm really curious to hear what you think about some of these additions in the comment section down below, and obviously with the whole March information, we will get patch notes eventually for that update because it's coming soon. So subscribe to the channel so you get the first information on when those patch notes drop. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later.